What's the goal over here? Reading a book. Okay. Let's add a little more details to this. Reading a book where?
The sub goal was finding satisfaction in reading a book, right?
So let's club that also. The goal is to read a
Yesterday
book
that will
full
come.
satisfaction. Okay. What is the satisfaction? I'll say great satisfaction. What kind of a book? Let's add a little more details to the goal. No, book can mean anything over here. Textbook also, right?
Need to read a design book or self-help book or
Self-help book. Okay. And derive great satisfaction. How?
By actually implementing the information that is shared in the book.
Yes.
Correct? Now, this looks like a better goal. Read a self-help book and derive great satisfaction by spending enough time per week. Okay. And I'll put this with focus. I will put it over here with high focus and derive great satisfaction by spending enough time per week. This is my goal. Correct? I can even write when it's a high focus means without getting distracted much. Nice. Now the goal looks like a goal. Yeah. This looks like something you can do something for. Or is it just looks like reading a book? Okay. What? Why? Where? Awesome. Very good. Now this is the goal. Now let's understand what are the pain points versus opportunities. To get there, we need to understand the journey of the user. What kind of a journey you would want to give a user?
First of all, getting frustrated with the regular routine, which I did in the user journey.
Okay. Then?
Wanted to learn something new and getting a fresh perspective.
Okay.
Then going to the shelf and finding a book to read.
Okay.
Then sitting on the table and reading a book.
Okay.
While reading the book, getting sleepy. I am not able to focus.
You want the user to be sleepy?
No.
Let me ask the question properly. What is the journey you would want the user to have? These are many people did a mistake. Your user journey is a journey of the problems, right? Your journey is the frustrated journey. Your journey is not the journey which you would want the user to have. Yeah. Feeling sleepy. You don't want to give that, right? You don't want them to feel sleepy.
Yes. No.
Finish the book for, say, 2 hours and put the book shelf. Okay. So this is the journey which you want the user to have for this particular goal. Okay. Now, from the research which you have done, from whatever you have spoken to users, all that stuff, where are the places where you can find pain points and opportunities? A pain point is wherever you think users are having a negative experience. Correct?
Yeah.
Negative. That's a pain point. Correct? Okay. And what is an opportunity here? Where do you think the users are having a negative experience or can have a negative experience? And where do you think you can provide a positive experience?
Negative experiences, they can get distracted by some notification from the phone.
Correct. So how do you define a negative and a positive experience? Very simple it is. Tell me how. Like if the user goes away from the internet goal, what will happen to the user? What will happen to the user?
That's a negative point.
He will be upset.
because he's not able.
Upset. What does upset mean? A negative emotion. Simple, straightforward. What is an experience? A user is traveling on the road. The road is the flow. You are going on the road. It is called journey. As you are having the journey, oh wow, what a tree. Happy, you're happy, excited, positive experience. Oh, look at that. I mean, like that pothole. Wow, very disgusting. Just my back broke. Negative experience. Very straightforward. As a user, your experience comes into your emotions. Your thoughts, emotions, feelings directly reflect the experience you are having. Straightforward, no? So very simple. Where do you think the negative emotions are happening? That becomes problems, pain points. And wherever you think you can give positive emotions, Those are opportunities.
So if there is already a good experience, but if you see a scope for making that better, then that also will be
It's an
opportunity.
opportunity. Are you adding a plus becomes an opportunity? Is there an existing plus? Obviously, very good opportunity only.
Got
Right? Yeah. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da, da-da. Within a journey, a user can have a bunch of emotions. There can be negative emotions at one place, positive emotions at one place, neutral emotions at one place. These emotions can exist. Correct? Now, as an experienced designer, what will you do? You'll make sure something like this. Okay? So these are pain points and opportunities. Now, come on. What are the potential pain points and opportunities we can identify over here? You clearly understood that an opportunity is not a solution right now. An opportunity is a statement which you'll write to identify what is the positive experience you can give at that point of time. What will give that positive experience is the solution. See, what's the pain point? A user is having a negative experience at that point of time is a pain point. That is clear. Let us say you're going here, sitting on the table and reading the book. And here you come and say, user is feeling drowsy. Okay? Because of which they couldn't read the book efficiently. Okay? That means they wasted time. Correct? So because of this, there is a negative emotion over here. They're not feeling accomplished. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, this is a negative emotion. So therefore, this can this be called as a pain point? Correct? So if you observe what you are doing here in a pain point, all you're doing is you're stating the negative side of the experience. That's it. You are not telling what to do to solve for this. You are not writing what will make the person not feel drowsy. You are not writing what will make the person read the book more efficiently. You're not doing that. All you're doing is stating what is the negative experience over here. That's why we're calling it as a pain point. Now, this is independent of a solution. Beautiful. Now, let's identify an opportunity. Wherever you think that users can have a positive experience, where
If he can find the book that he's looking for immediately without too much
Immediately, yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
okay, so you can say finding the book which might help them get a fresh perspective, because that's what you want over here. Finding that book much faster might make the user feel happy and feel accomplished.
Yeah.
You can always say, hey, you know what? I'm not finding the what book to read as a frustration, as a pain point. You can do that. That becomes a pain point. But that's not what you're saying here. User is finding a book. Now, so the mistake all of you are doing is you are necessarily putting everything as a negative emotion or filling the gap of a negative emotion. That's why I call it as a gap, right? There is a gap in the emotion over there. There's a gap. There's a gap which is created, which can be filled. That's why it's also called as a gap. As I said, pain point and gap are the same things for now. Correct? The gap is actually coming from this particular diagram. Whatever I drew, right? That gap which was coming from that baseline, right? That is the gap. Now, either you can put it that way, or, right, if you really don't find it as any pain point, you can obviously say that, hey, you know what? Here, I think the user is trying to find a book that is great, right? They found a book, they're finding a book that is great, but you know what? They can find the book faster. Opportunity. Now, you can say this even if in your interviews, even if there is no one who said that, hey, you know what? I'm finding it difficult to actually find a book. Even without that, you can think of an opportunity like this. You don't even have to say this. You as a designer will come up with an opportunity to give a great experience. And how did you come to this? You can only come to this. So we did this literally with 5 minutes of putting the diagram over here with one initial hypothesis. We don't even know if actual users behaves like this. We don't know it yet because we haven't even talked. If you talk to users, that's when you'll know, right? Now I've done this without even talking to users. It's just my hypothesis. Now imagine how much I can identify if I talk to real users. But we just got inspired by looking at, hey, you know what, they're going to shelf. What if they can find the book much faster? Imagine if you talk to users and listen to their stories, how many of these things can you identify yourself? Can you or not?
Yes.
You see how your interviews are helping you enough? If you have done this yourself, your interviews are acting as a source of inspiration for you to find out as many pain points as possible, as many opportunities as possible. Not because they're telling you exactly what are the pain points and opportunities, because they're telling you stories which will add specific details to the journey which you have made. Right now, what I made is a very artificial journey. This doesn't talk about any details. It doesn't carry details of what kind of books they're reading, how do they sit, where do they sit, why do they feel like sitting, how do they decide on how much time should they spend. All of those details are not there. There is no definition literally over there. And therefore, look at the beauty. And that's where all of you are also stopping. You just did this. And therefore, your problems, whatever I pain point and opportunity, is just at a surface level. Feeling drowsy is, do you think it's a surface level or not? Tell me. It is surface level. With just 2 minutes of thinking, you immediately got this. It is surface level. Okay, one more trick I'll tell you to find out whether it's surface level or not. One is to say whether it will take, how much time in my life does it take to arrive at something like this? That is one way. Jump into a solution. How will you solve this? How will you solve this? Tell me.
So I thought about the product already.
Okay.
So it was like a lamp which has different light adjustments, which will target the eyes of the user.
So dangerous, huh? If at all I find you sleeping, I'll shoot one laser into your eye. Let us say this kind of idea comes. Right? Okay. Multiple dimensions. Let's say you get this idea, you'll not get much better ideas. And like the idea itself looks very surface level and hey, this looks very vague. That means you have not defined the problem deep enough. Right? This is one more technique. But we'll do it later. We'll anyway define the solutions as well. We'll get there. But for now, the technique is simple. After 3 weeks, this is what I found. Surface. Right? You got it? How do you move beyond that? Again, I'm telling you, you need to write details. You need to add details. Going to shelf. What kind of a shelf? What kind of books? How are they finding it? What situation? Specific details. And the specific details is about exact user, need not be. You understood from users that these are all the possible scenarios which can exist and you're writing them there. Add more details, then you will find out more opportunities and more pain points. Even at a surface level, first of all, you understand what a pain point and opportunity is. Clear, all of you? Correct? A pain point is where you identified the negative gap. An opportunity is where you can go and create a positive experience. Correct? Now, how is it that you can make sure that they get a fresh perspective? How is it that you can make their book finding faster? That is the solution. You're not getting there right now. Therefore, you're not jumping into solutions. Got it?